This is a Cardano chart all the way back here, November 2020, actually before the bull market started. I want to start here for context, everything I'm going to talk about in this video. Then we're going to talk about the short-term charts for ADA. We'll talk about downside, but we're going to talk about upside as well. We're going to talk about finally some structure, which kind of gets me excited to do this video. There's a lot of structure happening on the ADA charts. I just want to start a very quick clip back here, November 2020, around 11 to 12 cents, ADA, check it out. An inverse head and shoulders. So you see it right here, inverse head and shoulders. And the breakout target for that right now is around a little over 14 cents right here. And what's the similarity here? The similarity is the fact that back then, November 2020, ADA is at 11, 12 cents. It was undervalued already, but we had some very nice structure on the screen. You can just see it. And I'm sure there were people back then that were just kind of like, dude, ADA is 11 cents. It was once $1. Get over it. But if we go to the ADA chart, right? This is what it was getting ready to do. This is what it was getting ready to do. And I'm not sitting here saying ADA is about to do this exact thing right now. I don't think we're actually in this bull market environment that it was in then, but there are a lot of telling signs on the charts today that I think are very important to pay attention to. So let's talk about today. Let's talk about the structure. I'm really excited. Before we even talk about, because there's probably going to be some bullish mentions, I want to mention something. There's potential in crypto right now for another leg down. There always is, especially when we're towards already the lows of the cycle, right? It's not too far away where ADA is testing these lows again. We need to embrace that and accept that. It's a possibility, especially if there's some type of crazy negative headline. It could very well happen. In terms of the speculative structure that really is starting to form right now, I could see a new low if it were to happen. I'm not saying this is going to happen or this is my prediction. 20 to 22 cents is kind of this next area for me where I'm like, all right, what is going to happen at the area? And I just want to get that out of the way just to make a note, especially for people that think I'm just always just mega bullish and think we're going up. I'm always prepared for downside. I say it all the time. So it's always important for me to prepare for lows, for new lows. And I just want to get that out of the way. But I do want to talk about the structure that's forming right now. And it is just such nice structure. Let's take a quick clip. This was actually from 9 days ago after we got this really nice run up, off of that XRP news. Check it out. It really does just happen. So a throwback could be to around the 29 to 30 cent region for ADA, as well as we can probably chart a Fibonacci to give us boom, 29 to 30 cent region for the throwback. Here we are on the daily. What happened? I mean, almost perfectly to the 29-30 cent region. Why is that such an important area? And then we're going to talk about the structure forming on ADA. It's important because we have the 20-day, we have the 50-day, we have this consolidation area right at the apex of the triangle that ADA broke out of. This triangle pretty much done, right? Like this has been completed. There are a lot of other lines on the screen that I want to discuss in this video. And before we talk about the structure and the potential for bullish patterns setting up for ADA, I do want to just make note of something, and it has to do with something I mentioned in the last video. I believe it was the last Cardano video. It's the 20-day above the 50. If we go actually to the swing low in March of 2020, this crazy swing low, ADA capitulated, hit oversold. The MACD just so oversold down here. The momentum going crazy to the downside. As we bounced out of that, we had the 20-day crossing above the 50-day. It's a very similar type of look as what we have right now, right? We have the 20-day, the green, crossing above the 50. Look at the RSI even. Let me just make this bigger. We have this higher high, higher low on the RSI. It was the same thing back then. Higher high and higher low on this momentum oscillator on the RSI. And what happens? So we're getting the 20-day breaking above the 50-day. We have the higher high, higher low on the RSI. We have this pivot in terms of the MACD to the upside and crossing above the 0 on the histogram going green. We had ADA break out. I mean, it wasn't the beginning of a bull market, but ADA certainly broke out. We go actually to the bull market starting, and check this out. And I showed a clip from this ADA video back then, but we had a very similar thing happening. ADA was kind of on the daily chart, higher highs, higher lows. We have the 20-day crossing above the 50, and you can actually see it needed a little bit more consolidation of the 20 and 50 before really, truly making the breakout. Nonetheless, it made the breakout. Notice the histogram on the MACD. It was going green, similar to what it is doing now. Very briefly, for one more swing low, you see here on the chart, it went red and then popped right back to the upside. Now we go to the charts today. In those two similar bullish environments, ADA, higher highs, higher lows, out of oversold, out of capitulation oversold. Histogram in the green right now in the MACD. MACD trending upwards. There's room for some type of consolidation, maybe some red consolidation like we got right before the last bull market, right? Maybe that's the case that we do fall and start testing new lows. Maybe we get the MACD coming back down. Either way, what's happening right now in this chart is very, even from a timeline perspective, if we look at something like the COVID swing low, it's starting to become very similar. And what I'm especially seeing is just the structure that's forming right now. And that's kind of where I'm intrigued, because we've had the higher highs and higher lows on ADA price, but it's to the upside. It's kind of like, all right, now we have this new swing high from the XRP swing high. And check out the resistance at this area where ADA was consolidating prior to the big SEC drop off that SEC going after Coinbase news, right? It's like this 38-cent region. ADA made a move to that area. We have this trend line now in play. Not only that, if we extend this out, so we have this dotted blue trend line there. We can kind of call it a speculative trend line, but it's a trend line now. Then we have, even if we take it all the way back to this April swing high, to this swing high that we just had off the XRP news, we have another dotted trend line. So no matter how we look at it, we have all this lower trend line, higher low price pivots. Now we have structure forming at the upper trend line, finally. It's two things. It could be kind of a symmetrical triangle, which is, I think, stretching it, but maybe more importantly, an ascending triangle of consolidation happening for ADA. And notice we're not at the apex yet, right? So there might need to be some more consolidation. Maybe ADA needs to kind of fall out of here a little bit, come back in, right? But either way, this is kind of a consolidation pattern that I'm highly interested in right now. And why is that? Is because when we look back and we see when ADA is extraordinarily undervalued, coming out of oversold areas, and a good example is actually, it's literally this video that I started this, that we watched to start this video. When we have setups like this was an ascending triangle all the way back here in 2020. I become very interested, especially because this time, not only is ADA undervalued, but we have all of the fundamentals in place now in Cardano. We have DeFi outperforming the rest of DeFi. Cardano DeFi is outperforming the rest of crypto DeFi. We just looked at this in a video the other day. So now that's the setup on the charts, right? With this similar consolidation. And I think it could lead to a very bullish breakout. And I started with talking about downside because I don't want to just present just only a bullish case, right? I realize there's potential downside. Even if we take this pattern, right? We can just present the cases. It doesn't have to be just because it's an ascending triangle that we're getting this breakout target to 60 cents. That doesn't have to be the case. ADA could fail and it could fall to the 20, 22 cent region, right? And I think that's something very important to keep in mind. But what I want to say and make a very important note of is when you go to a weekly chart on Cardano, guess what? We're not in this environment where we're in the middle of a bear market, right? Which is something around here. We're kind of towards the tail end of a bear market, and we're preparing for the pivot to the next bull. What exactly that looks like, nobody knows. And that's why I'm so keen and interested to track and find structure on these charts. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Going back to the weekly though, can't help but ignore this 50, or I'm sorry, it's not the 50. This is a MACD line getting ready to cross the signal line. Can't help but notice that. Not to mention this histogram trending upwards, because when we look at, here's the ascending triangle we were discussing before the last bull market. What was ADA doing? Trending up on the histogram in red, and we got this MACD crossing above the signal line. We go back to this COVID move that we talked about also on the shorter term. What was ADA doing on the MACD? Trending up in red, look at this, and we're getting the MACD crossing above the signal line. So there's a lot of signs that point to ADA maybe breaking out. A lot of it depends on what the rest of crypto is doing. A lot of it depends on what's the next headline going to be, right? So I say all of these things very cautiously. and very unknowingly. Nobody in the world knows what crypto is going to do next. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been trading sideways for a month. It is putting everybody to sleep. So this is something I'll continue monitoring. I think in terms of support, I'll be really evaluating just the lower trend line. It's around 28, 29 cents. The 50-day moving average is right there around 29, 30 cents. The 20-day moving average right around 30.5 cents. There's a ton of just very short-term support that I'm going to monitor, see how ADA interacts with that. If you look at the daily chart, just to make note of one more time, the higher highs and higher lows, this is what I'll be watching to see on the RSI, this momentum oscillator, see if that continues. So this is everything I wanted to kind of go over as we kind of end the week, right? Tomorrow's a new week. It would be very interesting to see how we start the next weekly candle. But this is what we're looking at right now. A lot of resistance on this macro weekly chart to break. The 20-week moving average around 34.5 cents. The 50-week moving average around 36.5 cents. We need a bullish breakout for ADA to get above those areas. And it could possibly start on this daily chart, this structure that is setting up right now. So those are my thoughts, everybody. I hope you're having a great weekend so far. Please hit the subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I will see you in the next video. God bless.